Hello everyone, this is Anshika Verma from InfoSec Girls Lucknow Chapter Lead, and today we have with us an amazing speaker with me. She's Tanya Srivastav, and she is, the topper of our college, to be honest. Without wasting much of our time, I would like Tanya to come forward and share her screen and tell you all about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Thank you so much, Anshika. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Okay, is the screen visible, Anshika? Okay, I guess it is visible. So let's move on to the presentation of the day. Thank you so much, Anshika and InfoSec Girls, especially Vandana ma'am, for providing me with this opportunity to discuss on the topic of blockchain and cryptocurrency, the revolutionary technologies. So let's start. Firstly, who am I? I am Tanya Srivastav, 20 years old, third year undergrad student at VIT Bhopal University. I am currently pursuing my BTech in computing science and engineering with specialization in in cybersecurity and digital forensics. Also, I am co-lead of content team at Cybersity, which is a community of like-minded people who are enthusiastic about learning more about cybersecurity. And then I'm also an avid reader and I like to review books on Instagram. Okay, so moving forward, what will be the agenda of the day? A brief outline. Firstly, we will have an introduction to blockchain. We will try to do an analogy with the current traditional systems. We will understand what is actually the need of the blockchain technology, how does it work, and why is it so much trending? What actual features does it provide that makes it the hot topic of the modern era? Then we will look a bit into the cryptocurrency and how the Bitcoin works. And then, since October is the cybersecurity awareness month, I would especially like to give out some tips about staying safe while using the cryptocurrency, because when a topic is um trending in the market, more people try to exploit it as the user base increases. So it is very important to keep some points in the mind while trading in Bitcoin or while using the cryptocurrency. Okay, so let's move forward. Firstly, what are the centralized system? Like, what are the existing solutions in the market to counter which to cover up the lackness of the existing solutions? The new systems like blockchain are being brought into the market. So we have centralized systems like bank. So what does bank actually does? Bank is a central system which contains the data, which possesses the data of its client. And the problem that comes here is that it is in a centralized system, all the data is possessed by a single authority that regulates it. An admin can modify the data as only admins have access to the data. And the second main problem is the untrustworthiness, because since the whole data is not transparent to us, we are not able to completely trust the centralized systems. So that is why, to counter these two major problems of the transparency and integrity of our data. The blockchain is brought into the market, rather I should say. So, how does the blockchain provide solutions to these problems? We need a database that can be trusted. The modification thing that we talked about is completely solved in the blockchain technology. How? We will discuss in detail later on. So, this blockchain technology provides two major features, that is, of easy access and the tampering difficulty in the data. These two features make the blockchain technology extremely important in today's era. The decentralization of blockchain means that the blockchain technology, it is in whatever aspect are we using blockchain, be it cryptocurrency, be it real estate, the data, the whole network is not regulated or owned by a single person. There are different nodes that are there are different people which are attached to the network, which have access to the data, and they cannot easily modify the data, or I should say, it is almost nearly impossible to modify the data that is present in blockchain. To illegally modify the data, to make wrong changes, it is almost impossible. So that is how blockchain provides us solutions, and it is trustworthy technology. Moving forward to the history of blockchain. Actually, the development of the blockchain originally began in 1990s when the uh, research about it originally started. There were no implications, applications, it was just the research. However, in the year 2009, an anonymous person or a group of people, it is not clearly known yet, named Satoshi Nakamoto, used blockchain technology to create the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. That is how the history of blockchain actually came into the existence in terms of application. Before it, nobody had applied the blockchain to some uses. Okay, so that is how the blockchain actually came into the market. So, what is actually a blockchain? If you will go onto the Google, you will find the exact definition that we have put here on the screen. Blockchain is a shared, immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network. Let's understand it in a simple way. Whenever a store, just let's suppose there is a store, there are transactions happening of assets. That asset could be money, that asset could be some product. There is a book that is usually known as ledger, that contains all the data of these transactions. Similarly, blockchain is that ledger only. The main difference is that it is an immutable ledger. That is, it is very hard to wrongly modify the data present in the ledger of blockchain. Also, it is decentralized, or you can say distributed, or you can say shared ledger. That is, it is available to everyone and anyone present on the network, and you can easily download the whole ledger or a small part of it according to yourself and check those transactions. There is a transparency. Now, this blockchain helps us record transactions and tracking assets in a business network. This business network can be the booming application of blockchain cryptocurrency, or it can be real estate world, or it can be the food supply chain market, where the assets can be easily tracked and kept a note of. Okay, so that is what the blockchain is. Now let's understand what exactly is a block. So let's suppose this is a book in which transactions are noted down in a normal word, right? So if we take a single page of this book, we can call it a block in a blockchain. That is, this block also contains multiple transaction data, just like the physical book. Okay, and when we link such blocks together, it becomes a blockchain, like this book. Okay, so that is a block. And what actually does a block contain? A block contains transaction data, whatever transaction is being happening. Like for example, if we talk about cryptocurrency, it will have the data of who sent the cryptocurrency to whom, when it was sent, what was the proof, and all of that data. Secondly, a block contains hash of that block. The As we said, the blocks are linked together. So what particular block contains is the hash of that block as well as hash of the previous block. Hash of What is a hash function? To those who don't know, you can say hash is a function, a mathematical function in which when you give an input, it creates an output that is unique to that input. For example, if I say give the input hello, then it will create a long hash of that which will be unique. Plus, the another feature is that you cannot reverse that hash. Nobody can, you know, decrypt what that code, hash code actually refers to in the original format. That cannot happen. That is the specialty of the hash function. That is why the hash of the block is maintained. What does this hash do? We will discuss in detail later, but let me tell you here only. What does hash do is that it hashes the transactional data, so that if any modification is made, the hash will also change. As I said, it is unique to one input only. Okay. Plus, it contains hash of the previous block linked to that particular block in the blockchain also. It also serves a particular purpose that we will discuss later on. Okay. So, okay. So let's see the blockchain. Yeah. So when multiple blocks are linked together, they form a blockchain. And as I said, this contains hash. The hash here refers to the hash of that particular block, and this p hash, that is previous hash, refers to the hash of the previous block. Okay. So the first block that is ever created in a particular blockchain is known as Genesis block. That is, it does not contain any previous hash because it is the first block in the blockchain. Okay. So that is how these are linked. Like this is the first block and its hash is 1111, and the next block attached to it also contains that previous hash 1111. And in the similar way, this chain will go on in the blockchain. Okay, so let's see how is it so hard to tamper the data and why are previous hashes or these hashes so important. Okay, firstly, if I modify, let's suppose if I try to modify the data present in block 1, okay, as soon as I make any changes in this data of the block, the hash of this block will change. And remember that this hash is also available in this block. So the previous hash here will also change, and similarly it will keep changing in the continuous blocks. Okay, so it is very hard. Firstly, if you talk about a practical blockchain, it contains crores of blocks, and it is physically, practically impossible to do these changes, because if you do a change, you will have to do that change for every block present in that blockchain. And mind here, even if you are able to do this change, remember that the blockchain is a decentralized system, that this whole ledger is downloaded for every, it can be downloaded by every person present on that network, attached to that network. So even if you make a change in this blockchain, particular blockchain, it will come into the notice of other peers who have already downloaded the blockchain that the hash value has changed, and that will detect the tampering. Firstly, it is very hard to do the tampering, and even if you do this, it will be nearly detected. Okay, so one block of a blockchain takes approximately 10 minutes to be mined, and if there are, say, a crore blocks in a blockchain, then you can calculate how much time will it take to do the whole modification process, and how much large time it is for a human only. It's his whole lifetime will get over, but hardly he'll be able to do this modification. So that is how the tampering is almost impossible in this blockchain technology. Okay, so one thing also I would like to say that there are wallets. Okay, wallets are like digital wallets of the persons, of the users of the blockchain, which are encrypted. When they create a wallet in the blockchain, their real identity is not linked, because the blockchain technology is semi anonymous, and the original identity of a person is not linked to their blockchain wallets. If we are talking about, say, cryptocurrency, so if I have 50 bitcoins in my cryptocurrency, in my wallet of blockchain, then I would not want anyone and everyone to see how much amount do I have in my wallet. So if we talk about a general scenario in the normal world, if I have a lakh rupees in my bank account, why would I want anyone and everyone walking on the road to be able to know how much do I own? That is not something we want to let other person know. Firstly, that is a big privacy breach, and second, it practically creates a lot of danger, right? So that is why original identity is not linked, because the blockchain is, as we said, available, transparently available to anyone and everyone, and anyone can see how much amount do you have in your blockchain, in your cryptocurrency account. So you do not want others to know that. So that is why original identities are never linked, and the only the keys, cryptographic keys, are used for the transactions that we will discuss about later on. Okay, so let's talk about distributed ledger. As we read here, it is a shared and immutable ledger. So I explained how it is immutable due to the presence of hash functions also, and shared we will learn here. It is a distributed ledger. In this ledger, the whole ledger is available to every person that is referred to node. Every person attached to a blockchain network, present on a blockchain network, is referred to as a node. So this ledger, that is like documents, are available to every node present on the network, and they all can link to each other. Okay, they can, if you want to know, they can actually save these ledgers on their hard drives. However, they are very big files, so mostly they uh, keep a copy of a small portion of the ledger. And when they do keep a copy of small portion of ledger, they are rather known as light nodes, not actually nodes. Okay, so this is, this creates transparency between the nodes, and anyone can download the ledger if you go on the blockchain network. Now let's talk about working of a blockchain. Okay, so let's talk about working of a blockchain. Firstly, if Alice wants to send some asset, say cryptocurrency or specifically Bitcoin, to Bob, let's take an example, then Alice will initiate a transaction with the help of digital signature. Now, here, a transaction, you can say, is a script that contains various things like the digital signature of the sender, the public key of the receiver, and amount of um, the data being sent, what is actually and how much is being sent to the receiver. All of that data is present in this transaction. Okay, so the sender will initiate this transaction and sign it with his digital signature. Now, digital signature is used for the authentication purpose here. When user initiates the transaction, it will go into the transaction pool. Transaction pool is actually a pool of unmined transactions which the senders who want to send data have initiated and sent in for the validation. Okay, so in that transaction pool, user will broadcast their transaction. Now nodes can see that there is a particular transaction waiting in transaction pool to be validated or mined. So they will pick up a transaction from transaction pool and begin validating these transactions. So here, there is a process that actually miners, if we are talking about Bitcoin transaction, used to validate the transaction, that we will discuss later. So using that process, which is actually known as proof of work. Okay, so let's move forward and take a look at it first. So proof of work, what a miner is a person who validates the data on a blockchain network. Okay, so the miner will actually mine the data, that is, it will solve a cryptographical, or you can say in normal words, mathematical puzzle to find out a nonce. Nonce is the short form of a number used only once. He will use the um, mathematical functions to find out this particular nonce, and then it will create the hash value, which should be less than the target value which is defined on that blockchain. Okay, so it's a whole process that miners go through, and it takes up a lot of computational power. You cannot do it like anybody cannot be a miner, because it needs high quality computers, and the power, like it takes up so much electrical power. That is actually one of the disadvantages of the bitcoins, that the mining of bitcoin takes up a lot of power, both computational and electrical. Okay, so that is what is done by the miner as a proof of work, and when they are able to find out the nonce, they have actually validated the transaction. But that transaction is still not added to the blockchain, because suppose if I am a malicious miner, and I have a malicious intention of mining an uh, like a bad transaction that actually cannot happen. For example, Alice wants to send Bob $5, but Alice actually does not have $5 or 5 bitcoins in her account. Then I want to, since Alice is my friend, I will want to validate that transaction anyhow, so that no malicious validations happen on the network. The nodes add validated transaction, or miner add validated transaction into the block and broadcast that block on the network. Again, whole block is again checked by the peers present on the network, so that the consensus protocol is applied for second time verification, so that no malicious validation can happen. In consensus protocol, what happens is that a particular, like at least majority of peers should verify that the block that is broadcasted is rightly broadcasted. The majority, if you have done a malicious activity, then the peers will not validate that block, and your whole block will get rejected and will not be added into the blockchain. Okay, so no malicious thing can happen. That is why consensus protocol is used. Now, if you think that no, I will make my friends in the whole like a peer circle and I will get them to verify my malicious blog, that cannot happen because it's a big um, chain of peers, and there you will have to have at least 51% of peers to work on your side, and that is practically impossible. So that is why wrongly modified blocks can never be added to the blockchain. If the block is approved, the block is added prior to the blockchain and the transaction is successful. That is how the whole blockchain works. There's a lot more of details that can be added to this working, but since we are short on time, we will keep it to this only. Okay, so then the Bob will receive his bitcoins, and one more thing I would like to specify here, that for example, if I have if I want to send $5 to the Bob, and if I do not have $5 in my account, how will sorry, 5 bitcoins, it's just a habit. If I do not have 5 bitcoins in my account, how will the miner check if I do have that particular amount in my account or not? So in this transaction data, the sender has to give proof of ownership, that the sender actually owns that much amount of data, that is given by the last transaction in which the remaining amount of the sender is present. So that is how the miners check if that particular amount of data is present, or asset is present or not in the account. Okay, so we have looked at proof of work, and now let's take a look at security properties. There are Blockchain is particularly famous because it provides a lot of security properties that are generally missing in other solutions. So, blockchain technology provides us immutability. Immutability, as we studied or saw earlier about the hash functions, and then the uh, presence of consensus protocol. These all factors lead to the assurance that the blockchain is immutable. Then we secondly see decentralized authentication. Decentralized, we know how the blockchain is decentralized. It is not owned by a particular organization, and the authentication happens on a decentralized level. Third, non-repudiation. What does non-repudiation mean? For example, in a real life situation, if we talk about cash money, if I give 10 rupees to my friend and he takes it, but the next day he just denies to accept that I have given him the 10 rupees, then he will be doing the repudiation, that he will be denying the original receiving of the money. But with the help of blockchain, non repudiation is assured because the receiver cannot deny receiving the asset that is sent by user, because all of that data is clearly present on the blockchain and that cannot be changed. Okay, so fourth is accountability. Accountability means I will have to be accountable for all of my actions. Every transaction I made, every asset I receive, all of that is present on the blockchain, and I have to be accountable for the my actions. I cannot say if 5 bitcoins are being sent from my account to someone else's address, then I cannot deny that I have sent those 5 bitcoins, because it is almost impossible that someone else can do that on my behalf. The whole blockchain technology makes us accountable. And number 5 is availability. So, blockchain technology is 24 cross 7 available to the users. Second, the data, the ledgers are available to everyone or present on the network. So that is how blockchain defines availability to its users. Okay. So benefits of the blockchain technology, as we discussed earlier, greater transparency, that is due to the availability of ledger on the to everyone on network. No double spending. So what do I mean by double spending here? Double spending is a problem um, in the normal transactions that happen, like in the real world. If we do not talk about blockchain, then double spending actually happens. So for example, if I have land, a property, and what I do is that I find two people who want to buy it. I sell that to first person as well, like I take the advance of 50,000 from the first person, and then I also take the 50,000 from other person. However, there are no official records that I have taken that much money from those people. They have entrusted me and given me those that particular amount. Okay, so here I have double spent my land, that is an asset. Okay, so that double spending is not you can say feasible in the blockchain technology. If we talk about another case, for example, I have 100 rupees in my account, and at the same time, I send that 100 rupees to Alice as well as 100 rupees to Bob. There is a very great chance that this can happen if the whole network is not secured well. So there is a big chance that this cannot happen. Okay, but this will happen if the uh, platform that we are using is not well encrypted, then this can happen. But in the blockchain technology, if I have 5 bitcoins in my wallet, and what I do is I initiate a transaction for those 5 bitcoins to Alice, then to Bob. But this cannot happen because when the moment I initiate a transaction of 5 bitcoins, even if that transaction is not validated or successful, the blockchain technology freezes those 5 bitcoins of my wallet. The Every bitcoin has a you can say unique value attached to it, so that particular amount will be frozen so that I cannot send it to someone else till my the transaction gets validated. Okay, so no double spending here. Enhanced security, and then better traceability because the hash functions are linked to each other so that you can trace the transactions. The speed is increased because a block can be mined in 10 minutes, and then reduced cost. What do I mean by reduced cost here is that middleman thing is completely removed in the blockchain technology. Whenever we are doing an asset transaction not in the blockchain technology, in a real world, then it is highly possible that we will have a broker or a middleman in the transaction, which takes up a lot of commission. Or if we are talking about banks, they also take out some fee for the service fee, transactional fee. All of those amounts are cut down here. Now here, one thing to notice is that when a miner mines the transaction, he is also rewarded. Okay, and what else you can do is, okay, we will talk about that later. So the cost is definitely reduced due to the removal of middlemen. Now, in the current scenario, there are so many applications of blockchain, but one of the most booming application is cryptocurrency, and almost every person is aware of that. No matter if they are of tech background or not, everyone knows crypto. Crypto is getting famous, and that is one of the major application. Second thing is the food supply chain. So it is a major industry that is using blockchain as well, because you can track when was the food packed, when it can get expired, or when was it transferred. So all of that data is present. And in the real estate industry, same thing, like the asset of cryptocurrency can be used in the real estate. The asset is the properties, lands or homes. Okay, so real estate is one of the major fields as well using blockchain technology. Okay, so we have learned enough about blockchain. Now let's move on to the cryptocurrency. So when we talk about cryptocurrency, mostly people associate the term cryptocurrency with Bitcoin. While that is not true, cryptocurrency actually refers to any digital data, like a digital money we can say, but the Bitcoin is a particular digital money. Okay, so like we say money in general world, then we in India we associate money with rupees, but that is not true. Money can be of dollar, of can be any denomination like dollars, and rupees. But similarly here, cryptocurrency can be Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. There are too many cryptocurrencies available nowadays. Okay, so let's take a scenario. Alice wants Alice resides in India and she wants to send some rupees to the Bob who resides in the foreign. So she sends out rupees to the bank. Now the bank does the international exchange and converts those rupees to the dollar, and then it is transferred to the Bob. Now, while doing this conversion, a fees of conversion fee is also charged to the Alice, and if she sends 500 rupees to Bob, then it is mostly possible that the whole 500 did not go to Bob. Some fees was cut down in the middle because bank is acting as a middle agent. Okay, so when we talk about the Okay, so this leads to some problems. If we talk about the financial transactions, we have high international exchange rates that actually leads to the getting expensive process. The process gets more and more expensive. Then we have a lot of documentation work that we need to do. Like we often say that the bank processes are tedious. Why? Because we have to do a lot of documentation work physically, and that is very inconvenient. And third, service is not always available. There are bank holidays. If you send the money today, it may not get transacted today in the bank. There could be holidays and it will take some other time, so the service is not always available. To solve these problems, we have cryptocurrency in the market. If the Alice wants to send 500 rupees to Bob here, what Alice will do, Alice will send the bitcoins, that amount of bitcoin which is equal to 500 rupees, directly to Bob in the bitcoin. Just like gold, bitcoin also goes asset to asset. Cryptocurrency transfers asset to asset. There is no conversion in between, and no extra fees will be charged to Alice in the process. And even if there is, it's a very nominal charge in comparison to the banks. So that is how cryptocurrency solves a big problem. Okay, so let's move on to why is cryptocurrency valuable, how bitcoins, ethereum, they actually get their value. Firstly, coin's utility. That is, that coin, the Bitcoin or Dogecoin, they are actually like practically usable in the real world. Okay, they have a utility. Second, there is a scarcity of the cryptocurrency. That is, it is, if we particularly talk about Bitcoin, it is not infinitely available. Okay, when Satoshi Nakamoto actually what can we say brought Bitcoin into application, it he or the group, we do not know exactly, created a program that limits the Bitcoin existence to 21 million only. There are only 21 million Bitcoins available that can be used, and already almost 19 million Bitcoins have been mined. So you see, only a small portion of Bitcoin now is now available. That actually increases the value of the Bitcoin in the market. It can get exhausted until and unless Satoshi Nakamoto decides to come back and change the rule that he actually created. Third, demand. We have, when we see that Elon Musk tweets in favor of a cryptocurrency, then the market value goes up very rapidly because the demand increases. So, demand leads to the value of cryptocurrency. Fourth, difficulty of finding. Do you know why gold is more valuable than silver? Because it is not as easily found as silver. It takes up a lot more effort to mine gold. In similar manner, it takes up a lot of effort to mine cryptocurrency. As we said, there are a very huge computational power required. There are big mathematical calculations that have to be done by highly efficient computers that you cannot easily get. So, the mining of the cryptocurrency, we can rather say, is very difficult, and that is what makes cryptocurrency extremely valuable. If it were very easy to mine cryptocurrency, it won't really have any value. That is why the mining process is extremely difficult. Okay, so we are saying mining, mining, mining. What actually is mining? Let's see. The process of creating a new Bitcoin by solving a computational puzzle is known as Bitcoin mining. Now, as we have discussed earlier, the process of creating a new Bitcoin by finding norms, by getting the transaction validated. This process is known as mining. And when a miner mines a transaction or a Bitcoin, then it actually gets a reward. The miner gets the reward for all of his efforts. Okay, if there was no reward, why would anyone take up so much effort to mine the Bitcoin? The rewards are provided. Now, Bitcoin mining is performed by high powered computers that solve complex computational math problems. These problems are so complex that they cannot be solved by hand, and even complicated enough to tax the incredibly powerful computers. It cannot be done by even incredibly powerful computers, you see. So, that is why Bitcoin mining is so difficult, and it is very necessary to maintain the ledger of transactions upon which the whole cryptocurrency works. Okay, so also when we say that a user sender sends his transaction to the transaction pool, he waits for some miner to pick up his transaction and get it validated. There are so many transactions in the transaction pool, and there is no partiality done. Like anyone can pick any transaction, and you will have to wait till yours is picked. Okay, so in that perspective, if we say, if I have an urgent transaction to do and I want my transaction to get picked up by the miner first, then you can or I can actually include an optional reward fee for the miner. If someone is putting a transaction and without any reward fee from their end, and if I am putting a transaction including a reward fee separately for the miner, then it is obvious that the miner will pick up my transaction first, right? So that is how you can get it done in a faster way, and also it will be more beneficial for the miner. Okay, so if you want to say I am sending 10 bitcoins and I want to give one bitcoin as a reward to the miner that mines my transaction, then I will, in the transaction, I will say that I want to give 10 bitcoins to Bob and one bitcoin will be extra. Okay, so whenever the miner mines the transaction, that extra money will automatically be transferred to the miner's wallet that he can claim later on whenever needed by using his private key. That is how you can get your transaction done faster. Okay, and then let's take a look at the minor reward. Okay, as I said, in 2009 when the Bitcoin was originated, the coins to be mined were 21 million. Okay, and the miner got a reward of 50 Bitcoins. But as the time went, as the time, uh, okay, there's a mistake, I guess. No, no, no. So as the time passed, the reward gets halved every 4 years for the miner. For example, in 2019, the mining reward was 50 Bitcoin. Then in 2012, it went down to 25 Bitcoin. And then in 2016, it went to 12.5 Bitcoins. And now, currently, it is 6.25 Bitcoin. Because, as you see, there are only a very small portion of Bitcoin left to be mined. But how do you think, like, why do you think you would be wondering that the reward, you know, declined? It is because of this. If you see the Bitcoin price history, when the Bitcoin was originated, it had a very very less value. Like in the 2010, one Bitcoin was equal to $0.1. But if you look at the latest uh, number here, in 2017, one Bitcoin was equal to $4,000, and it is even larger value now in 2021. So because the Bitcoin value is increasing, as the remaining Bitcoins are decreasing, that is why the reward is also decreasing. Because if you calculate, the value of 50 Bitcoin in 2009 was way less than if we talk about the price of 0.6.25 Bitcoins now. Okay, so in that way, the reward money, the reward fees decreased. Okay, okay, so with the blockchain as a trending technology and the cryptocurrency being its major application, it also has to face a lot of big challenges in the market. Firstly, it is the computational and memory requirement. Computational and memory requirement, as we talked, is extremely high, and only a very small ratio of people can actually afford to do that. Second, the challenge is the assumption that 50% of the population is honest in the blockchain, or else the whole system will become dead. When we talked about consensus protocol in the past, we talked about this point that the majority has to approve a block to be added to the blockchain. Okay, so if at 50% of the people become dishonest and they support a malicious block, then the whole system, the whole purpose of the blockchain technology will fail. So this is the challenge. Third, linkability of transactions and traceability of account holder. As I mentioned once, the blockchain technology is a semi-anonymous, not completely anonymous. So if you see, for example, if I use the same account to do the transaction every time, if I use the account at the same time every day, if my network is weak, if encryption of my network is not there, then maybe someone can track me easily because of the public presence of the blockchain due to my mistakes or due to the weakness of safety. Then my identity can be leaked. And as I said earlier, I do not want anyone to know which is my account on blockchain and how much money do I hold, whom do I transact. I want to keep it anonymous. So that is semi-anonymous. That is, it is hard, but still the your identity, real identity, can be leaked. Fourth, use of blockchain in non-cryptocurrency environment is a big challenge. Cryptocurrency is the like if we talk about real cash money, then the use of blockchain is actually not possible, because if you talk about Indian rupee, then it is regulated by RBI, and it is practically impossible to get that on the blockchain. So that is why it is a challenge. And we talk about loss of private keys. As I said, a receiver has to use his private key, that is a cryptographic key. In normal words, you can think of it as a password to use his account. If he loses his private key, then all of the asset present in his blockchain account will be lost. He will lose everything present in there, because he will not be able to revive that private key ever again. There is no method to revive the lost private key. Okay, so these were the challenges that blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies currently facing in the market. Developers are constantly working on the technology to counter the challenge and find solutions, and the things are actually happening. But as we know that more technology gets popular, it gets vast, higher vulnerabilities can be seen into the picture. So that's a big thing, and since blockchain is a big thing, it's going to face challenges. Okay, so if you all don't know, then October is a cyber security awareness month, and that's why I would specially like to give out some tips and tricks to stay safe with the cryptocurrency. We have a lot of apps coming into the market regarding cryptocurrency usage. Okay, the trading of cryptocurrency is being very much marketed nowadays. I would say there are a lot of apps coming in, and with that comes a lot of vulnerability. So you have to be very safe and secure. You have to be very open minded and aware while trading in the cryptocurrency or using such applications. Firstly, use a cold wallet. Now, what do I mean by a cold wallet? There are wallets, as I said, which will contain your assets. They will be locked by your cryptographic keys. But there are two types of wallet: hot wallets that are linked to the internet, and cold wallet that are actually not linked to the internet, and you just use your address to get the money transacted into the wallet. So you should use a cold wallet, because if your wallet is connected on the internet and the encryption level is not enough, then you might face an attack or your data might be revealed. So you have to maintain multiple wallets also. If I have a friend and I, you know, regularly send them cryptocurrency for a purpose, say Bitcoin for a purpose, I regularly send it. Then, if I regularly send the same amount of money from same account to the same account again and again, that then it can be linked. If someone is snooping on you, he can easily um, decide or know that it's your account. So you have to use multiple wallets. So use one wallet to do one transaction, and then use another wallet to another transaction, so that the linking of that wallets to your transactions, to your identity, has less probability. Third, use secure internet. Internet encryption is very important. If the level of encryption safety guards used on your network are not enough, then anyone can easily snoop on your network and know actually what data packets on the network you are sending. Okay, so you have to use secure network. For that, you can use VPNs, virtual private networks, that are easily available in the market today, and then you can use Tor browser as well. Third, mixer services. Mixing services is actually a very broad topic in itself, and I will not be able to explain it completely, but I would like to tell you all about it a little bit, so that you are aware of it. While doing transactions, if, like, say, A, B, and C wants to send 10 Bitcoin to their respective receiver D, E, and F. Then if they send it directly, there is a lot more chances of tracking it or to understanding who sent to whom. But if you use a mixing service, that is a group of people who want to send the same amount of money to their respective receivers come together, they exchange their addresses or the amount of money or their signatures to send to the uh, receiver in a mixing service. Now suppose if all the information is securely shared among the senders, then A can easily send money to E. He actually had to send money to D, but he sent to E because someone else from his peers is sending the money required to send to D. So if in real life you see E is not at all connected to A is not at all connected to E. He wants to send money to D. He only knows D, but he is sending to E. And if the identity is revealed or something bad happens, then it will be really hard to trace what purpose was money sent for, who actually sent the money. It will be really hard to link the identity. So that is why people use mixing services to do the transactions more anonymously and more securely. Okay, so that was all for today's session. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I was able to add something to your knowledge. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You can easily search Tanya Srivastav on LinkedIn, or this is the link you can use: www.linkedin.com/in/Tanya SRITANYA to get connected with me on LinkedIn, or you can mail me on shivastavtanya01@gmail.com. So, thank you so much, and I would like to thank the InfoSec girls again for giving me this very, very honorable opportunity to present about such a big topic in front of you all and to be able to share my small knowledge with you. It's really, I'm really honorable, and I appreciate the efforts taken by the InfoSec girls to create the awareness. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Anshika.
much, Tanya. Thank you so much for coming up. It really was an insightful session, I believe. And I would like to, tell the viewers as well. On a very short notice, Tanya agreed, and the amount of hard work she has put in here is just amazing. You're an amazing speaker, I must say, and your confidence is just, I mean, I believe everyone would like to, be like you when they're speaking up. So thank you so much for coming here. And with this, I would also like to thank actually Cloudal for sponsoring us. So thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you, Anshika, and thank you to all the viewers.
Okay, guys. So see you all in the next episode of InfoSec Girls Lucknow chapter. Thank you for connecting. Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.